Well, good morning, America. Before I get into the meat of this another masterpiece, just want to give a shout out to all those people out there who knew something like this was coming, especially to the Gulag gang. Gulag gang. We all knew that Whoopi Goldberg, who I'm actually imitating at the moment, Whoopi Goldberg tried to steal David Carroll's act for a while now. Been talking like him with the View gang. No, but so for real, a lot of you knew at some point somebody was going to say something like what Whoopi Goldberg said, and then everybody would know what a lot of really bad black women really think about Jews. Oh boy. And you know, the best part about this is it's going to take a while for like, well, no. Actually, from what I've gathered, Whoopi has gotten off almost scot-free for this one. That's funny, scot-free. Yeah, that she's pretty much gotten off scot-free for this one. And the beauty of it is that really, it only becomes more funny in that way of like, you can imagine somebody like, you can imagine really, I was thinking about this at one point. Okay, remember with the alternative right, at one point the alternative right started this thing, and it was apparently that guy Greg, whoever the reference is, I believe, to a grinder Greg. When people want to criticize a lot of people on the various individuals on the alt-right, and he did this whole set of adaptations to Disney movies that were brilliant, that were these unbelievably brilliant, hilarious adaptations from Disney music scenes. It was fucking funny. It was funny shit. It was well done. It was very funny. And somebody like him is probably laughing his ass off because he's one of these people who gets these subtleties. No matter if you like him or not, he understands most hate crimes are committed by blacks. That black men are the people who are beating up the Asians and beating up the Jews. Even Ben Shapiro, I believe, finally kind of addressed this with regards to Whoopi Goldberg's statements. And now it's just a matter of time to see if the white liberals really, if the Jews have any backbone. Because the Jews aren't really getting this. Like, liberal Jews aren't really getting, like, no, Whoopi Goldberg just said something. Did you not hear the word she used? As a black person, this is not a unique view of hers. Like, what are you all not getting? And a lot of people who agree with you, the view, and your viewers, that I don't think you get, like, there's a lot of people who have, like, views that you'd probably, they're looking at the Holocaust, and they're like, well, everybody has, something bad happen to them. And I just hope Jewish people really understand this. That like Hispanic people and black people look at your experience and they think it was kind of bad. It wasn't good. It was kind of bad. Could have been worse. Like what? Like black slavery. Like the defeat of the Mayan and the Aztec peoples. we was Olmecs once, and you done took it all from us. If you don't understand this point of view, then you're not dealing with your allies. This was always my thing about the use of the word ally. This is really why I thought it was a hilarious word that people were saying things like allies, because allies aren't friends. Allies are people you make an alliance with in a war. It's not the same thing, not countrymen. It's not homie. It's allies are what you have during a war, not friends. So this is not good. You don't want some kind of, oh, we have a political allegiance with you. That's not the same as we are countrymen, we are friends, we are, like in some way our fates are tied, our cultures are sort of bound together by something sacred and principled. No. They're allies in a war against who? A war against Whitey, a war against Edom. The war against Edom goes on forever. And so this is just something that I think, and now some people won't know that reference. I'm sorry. The war against Edom. So there is this thing that, an interpretation, you get this a lot out of Kabbalists, that it's the various other commandments outside of the 10. I believe it's 217 or 213 or something like that. So it's represented by all the knots on a prayer shawl. And one of these is something like, do not forget, or vengeance against Edom, or do not forget the enemy of Edom. And so it refers to the red hairs, which typically, from what I understand, is a reference to Greeks and or Romans. But fundamentally, that is one of the things that came out of especially the world of the alternative right was a discussion about this, that this is this other, one of the many other commandments. And then what would be the ramifications of such a moral and ethical law, and or a moral and ethical precept? And so some people have had to play this down, because they're like, okay, Jew all my life, never heard of this, that kind of thing, and it's very, that makes perfect sense, it's most of the Islamic world has never even read the Quran in their respective language or in Arabic, So, one of the things that so it makes sense that Jews might not know, there's a lot of writing in Judaism, a lot. It isn't like the New Testament, where it's as easy to refer to and is kind of universally well known because it's only so large of a canon. So Whoopi Goldberg brought something up that is a part of the revolutionary sentiment, and it does seem to be linked to this weird sort of end of Judaism and Judaica that mixes Kabbalism and Marxism, and views the white Gentiles of the Anglo-American sphere as Edom. And that this is an idea you could get this somewhat through Rastafarianism. You detect this a lot in the 5% Nations use of language. This is definitely tied to the secular Tikkun Olam movement. But it's a lot of people don't get how this is actually in some ways sort of undone the Jewish people in a way, because they don't really get that a lot of people don't. They see it as, oh, this is a tragedy, but this isn't as bad as what happened to us. Is the consistent thing that comes back, like, or with really this idea of like, oh, it was a crime against all of, this is what humans do to one another, and we should change, and blah blah blah. Where it's, for the Holocaust, it's like, no, Jews really see this as something that the entire world should weep and gnash their teeth and tear at their clothes because this has happened to the Jews. They really do think that. They really don't see this as a lesson for everybody, a teachable moment for everybody to be nice to one another. They don't see it that way. They see it as, you need to recognize that all of you are mean to us. It's this very, 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 now, but that is what it is. And people trying to act like, oh, no, this is a white liberal mentality. Oh, let's all be happy and happy, Care Bear, Share Bear. You see, look at what we could all learn, teachable moment, and it's like, that's not what it's meant to be. Just like Whoopi Goldberg just informed you that a lot of black people basically are really kind of pretty anti-Semitic and unapologetically so. And Whoopi just kind of lets you know. But it's, will the white liberals deal with what they've learned? No, because it's chumping out. Whoopi Goldberg is going to get away with this because of chump Americans, chump liberals. They're going to go along with it because they're chumps. And they're not going to fire her because she's one of the black high priestesses of the cathedral. And we'll see if she gets canceled. We'll see if she went too far. That's one of the most fascinating things about watching this from the right end of society. Will she have gone too far? Which means, did she really finally upset some very wealthy Jewish people in entertainment? Because they have that's you have to check with them first. Can we fire Whoopi? Should we fire Whoopi? And everybody gets this. Everybody gets it. It's just that we can't be frank anymore. You can't be a straight shooter anymore. We all gotta play along and just smile and pretend like, oh no, it's not like that. But it is like that, and I think I'm actually really kind of fascinated if some of you from who are familiar with Hoodservative, and if some of you from the Gulag Gang will leave it in the comments, because you all knew somebody like Whoopi was going to finally let the mask slip at some point. One of these hoes is going to fucking go stragglenomically excellent on some stupid shit, and just finally let it be known. Don't you know that black women really resent Jews too? For why? Who knows? Maybe they're jealous of Amy Winehouse's soul power. I don't know. All I know is that New York black people, we East Coast black people, are the people I've encountered who will tend to have issues with Jews. Black ass motherfuckers have problems with Jews. I don't, but it really is this thing that when I've encountered some pretty weird, weirdly uncomfortable stuff like that, it's always East Coasters. It's always East Coasters. I think maybe once or twice I've encountered this on the West Coast, where say you'll encounter on the West Coast very rarely the thing of oh, we're the Jews, they're some other group or something. People don't really get that. When Whoopi Goldberg, now it's probably, people are wait, does Whoopi really think she is actually a Jew? That she's descended from the ancient Israelites? Now people have to ask that. You do actually have to ask, Does she believe that? And she might just believe that. She might really believe, like, no, the rest of you are pretenders. Or that she and Joy Behar are, like, on the level together or something like that, her not-so-shiksa sister. This ain't no shiksa act. Oh, see, I can make jokes in Yiddish and in Chinese. You see, it's like I'm like that. But so that was gold. That was fucking gold. Because Whoopi let the mask slip. A lot of black women are very, very, very racist. And that's why, to me, it's just hilarious to watch the white liberals like try to figure out how to, and then the leftist scumbags always trying to desperately figure out ways of making white people, these horrible racists, when white people themselves, like even the right wing, is like, oh no, you can't say stuff like that on a right wing website. That's anti-Semitic. Like, what do you think we are over here, And so that's why I just think now it's funny that, and so then Whoopi says what she says, and it's like, wait, you didn't know how prevalent that mentality was or is? Like, you don't realize that that's like a New York for like Manhattan. She's not from like some backwards hillbilly fucking black hillbillies like living in some fucked up little project part of town or something. No, she's from fucking Manhattan. This is a woman who probably has slipped on a Blintz. It's like, she was like, we don't have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but we have Hamantaschen. It's like, this is probably a woman who was practically raised on whitefish salad. Holy shit. She probably had a bialy before she ever had red beans and rice. It's like, I mean, she's growing up in Manhattan. Who knows? But this idea, like, oh yeah, she said this, but she didn't really mean it this way, and I mean, like, if you think about it from the way she was meaning it but she said it like this, and it was just like, oh my God, you guys are trying so hard. No, lots of black people don't think the Holocaust was that big of a fucking deal. That's the horrible truth. You're dealing with a bunch of people who don't have a problem with the Holocaust. There's this, well, but she does understand. No, she does not. To her, stop and frisk was the Holocaust for black people. Like, that's the kind of mentality you're dealing with when you hear Whoopi Goldberg say that. And liberals cannot handle that. That's what's really the score. And that's why Whoopi said what she said. They won't be able to handle it. They'll never be able to handle this because they need that alliance. They have to have their allies. They have to have the resistance. They have to believe in it. And it's going to be disappointing. It's going to be disappointing as they start to figure out, like, oh, so when black people just went and looted and destroyed shit in the name of some fucking fentanyl junkie, it really was just this low-minded, savage barbarity. It wasn't anything high-minded. It was just N-words grabbing shoes. It wasn't some profound moment that you need to play really, really gay, Disney-esque princess music to like represent it, because remember, that's what the white liberals want to gay it up. They've got to gay it up. They got to put some weird, goofy musical music Like that dude who wrote Hamilton, it's always got to be, musical and gay. Very, very effeminate and gay and juvenile. And because that's the liberal end of our culture. Is at best it's juvenile, it's homoerotic and juvenile, and relatively low class, and so low class pretending to be faux class. There we go. Yeah, low class pretend to be faux class with no class. So yeah. So I like how Ben Shapiro brought up, in light of Whoopi Goldberg's statements, the black Hebrew Israelites. Because, of course, this is a verboten subject. You're not supposed to bring them up because they're extremely openly racist black people. And, and they offend Jews. And they like offending Jews. And they like saying things that would be very, very offensive to Jews. They like it. They like doing that. They like saying really offensive racist stuff to and about white people. This is one group I've actually seen in person, so I know what they do. I've actually seen them. And so the one time I visited New York, I got to see one of these motherfuckers dressed up in his kung fu uniform or whatever the fuck he was wearing, and oh my God. But one of the things what changed me forever about black Americans was this woman who, this young lady who, she was like, what was, like she didn't understand why I thought this guy was preposterous. Like this thing that 12 tribes of Israel are like Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Samoans, like all this weird shit. And you're like, what the fuck? That's so dumb. And she's like, what's so dumb about it? I'm like, Samoans are not one of the lost tribes of Israel. And it's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then you start to realize, no, there's a bunch of black Americans, college educated. We were, the people I'm talking about, I went to Israel with these fucking people as a student ambassador. These fucking crazy black bitches had been raised such somewhere in urban America, normal urban America, such these were women who would go on to college most likely, and that they straight up thought some shit like, no, that makes perfect, that makes sense, that like Puerto Ricans might have been one of the lost tribes of Israel, that made sense to them, and I'm just like, what the fuck, yeah, and or that Islam was like the religion of black people, like that if you do something disrespectful to Islam or something, that you're disrespecting blacks inherently, and that something like that came up once, and the person who was accused of this, he really was like one of these white guys who was just like, I don't understand what you're trying to talk about, what you're saying doesn't make any sense. I decide to not take my hat off in a mosque, whatever, we're tourists, and it just straight up, it was, that's what it was. And then on top of it, it was this thing of like, but most of the guys are covering their heads when they go inside. But but this was a black woman, complaining about something. So, everybody's supposed to take it extra doubly serious, because it's not that black women just take themselves too serious and are kind of, ignorant and racist. It's, that people don't be respecting their point of view. They don't understand, that they're the original woman, and that you need to respect the understanding of all them things. So it just, people need to get this. It's like, no, black people got problems. Black people got problems. And Whoopi Goldberg just let you know. George Floyd let you know all the BLM let you know black people got fucking problems. And you need to stop trying to help them with their problems. You need to, just like the libertarians, you gotta let people fail. And so now we're going to get to see. I think that the white liberals will do anything they can to try to let this uncomfortable moment with Whoopi Goldberg just vanish, and because it's women, it's a bunch of old women, so they're going to try to, healing and feelings, caring and sharing, and going to try to let it all go and try to act like she didn't say anything that would, be really, really, really kind of pretty uncomfortable ramifications, and yeah. Now, the moment somebody like Nick Fuentes says, why don't we ever talk about the Holodomor, or why don't we ever talk about the massacre of by the Young Turks, why don't we ever talk about that kind of thing? We're always talking about the Holocaust constantly. Then Nick Fuentes, you have a dangler, and you're not black. You weren't on Star Trek. You're not a black woman. You don't even pretend to be by just putting on a dress and a dreadlock wig. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? That would actually be kind of hilarious. If Nick Fuentes put on an outfit to dress up like Whoopi Goldberg and then said, I identify as Whoopi Goldberg, I'm no longer a racist. Oh my God. Oh my God. That would be... Oh my gosh, the image in my mind. See, because I know Nick has a lab coat, therefore making him a scientist. And so nothing he says is disinformation. Oh man. He won't do it. But damn it, that would be funny. Damn it, that would be funny. Maybe we could get Soph to do it. All Soph has to do is put on a dreadlock wig, say she identifies as Whoopi Goldberg, and then she could be back on YouTube. Boom! And with that, let my Sunday begin.